We're now going to go on to impeachment part
Part
two.
two. In part two. So Nancy Pelosi's threatening to impeach Donald Trump for a second time on his way out the door on January 20th. There are some now. This is one of those things. Is I think this is a win-win for us, no matter what happens. She has three of her little acolytes to file charges against him, and there are going to be one for inciting a riot. It's still unclear exactly what for, and then I think one is for inciting a riot, and the way it would work is Mitch McConnell sent a letter around describing how it would have to work, as he's still technically in charge of the Senate. And the problem is for the impeachment to go forward, like right now, right this Monday coming up, is of course that the Senate has to go by certain rules, and the rules require that the next few days that they're open, I think they're only open the 12th and maybe the 15th, are all pro forma days, and they would have to get, as per Mitch McConnell's letter, they would have to get 100% of the senators to agree to waive those rules before they could actually have a hearing in the Senate. So the House could pass whatever it wants. It could do it on Monday. It would still require the Senate to sit and judge the matter. And that is the closest time, according to the schedule, the Senate would be January 20th at about 1 o'clock after he's been sworn in, after Vice President has been sworn in. So that would set up a question of whether you can impeach a person who's not a president. Of course, you can't. The Constitution outranks any statute. But the goal would be, of course, for Pelosi to try and prevent Donald Trump from running a second time. Now, again, this is of course is a bunch of nonsense. First of all, impeachment is only a political. You can only impeach somebody who's in actual office. But say, oh look, because we started it, it counts. Okay, fine. But the federal statute that says that somebody who has been impeached cannot run is a bunch of crap. It doesn't outrank the Constitution. The Constitution is very specific on what you need to run to be president of the United States. You have to be 35. You have to be 35 years old. Number two, you have to be a citizen. Now, Barack Obama got around that, but that's other than that, it's a very, very low standard. And so any federal statute is not going to mean anything. And if Donald Trump wins on that, that's why, again, I say one of the things is it's a win-win situation. He can fully run. Let them say he can't, and then each person who says he can't then of course you will see the court step in, right? But so I want to point out, though, there were 8 senators who stood up for him before. They're not going to let it be heard before that on the 12th or the 15th. And it's worth remembering their names because they're the stalwarts who did object to the electors. And it's Cindy Hyde Smith, Cynthia Loomis, Roger Marshall, Rick Scott. Good job, Rick. Cruz, of course, Hawley, John Kennedy, the great John Kennedy, and if I didn't get him, Tommy Tuberville. The coach stood up. So that's not going to happen, that he's going to be impeached before January 20th. Now, I say it's a good thing either way, because say the Republicans in the Senate go along. You need 2/3. So it's 50-50 split right now. Say enough of them peel off. Well, then that's fine. That's the end of the Republican Party. They go the way of the Whigs. That's what happened to the Whigs. The Whigs wouldn't stand up for the abolition of slavery, and so they went the wayside. And then the Republican Party was created to stop the evil of slavery. And so a new party would have to be started, which would be dedicated to freeing the middle class from the wannabe tyrants of the aristocrats. So if we need a new party, we need a new party. So it would be a good thing that way. Plus, I think it would be an absolutely great thing because it sets the precedent. Now she's so lowered the bar of impeachment that when in the next 2 years, when the Congress is won back, no matter what, that first Congress and every Republican running should be saying, yes, we're for the investigation and impeachment of good old Kamala, if she's the president now, or Joe Biden, if he manages to survive that long, and make it what it is, a political weapon. They've made it down to a political weapon. So now it's just like any other political weapon. And every president going forward is going to be facing impeachment. And that's fine, because then I've never liked the idea of the imperial president anyway. But it's a bigger, really good thing coming out of this, right? And the good thing that will be coming out of this is this. This impeachment thing, originally, if you look back in history, and you remember back in my 30-year history degree, impeachment came up. This is a similar situation happened over the exchange of power between Adams and Jefferson, and it was very acrimonious. And Adams did not attend the swearing in of Jefferson. One of the things Adams did, one of the beef between them was, of course, Adams was taking his chance to fill up the positions with Federalists, and Jefferson said, that's not fair. You shouldn't be doing that. And they actually met one time. And then they almost, and Adam and Jefferson brought that up to him and said, well, I'll let you in if you're not going to purge the government and stuff like that. I will agree with you with your agreements, and you don't kill the Navy. And Jefferson's like, you can't bind me like that. And so it came up then. So there were a bunch of appointments that caused Marbury versus Madison, but also caused Jefferson to impeach a sitting judge at that time, and it didn't go anywhere. And so from that moment, Jefferson comment like, oh, this impeachment's useless. Well, guess what? We have now an imperial government. One of the tools that we have at our disposals now that this out of control, hysterical nut job, Pelosi, wants to impeach the president second time for, again, nothing. And just for the facts and just for the record, the last thing Donald Trump said to the protesters, to the mostly peaceful protesters, was, hey, I know you're going to march over there. You're a bunch of patriots. Do it peacefully. I'll see you later. That's it. That's not any indictment there was not any wink or any of that. There's no way any court of law that could be proven as he's inciting a riot. But let it go forward, because here's the other target. Okay, the other targets are, number one, the good old Roberts and the jerk Supreme Court that refuses to follow the Second Amendment. The other targets, every federal official, including good old Nancy, after she leaves office, because they're setting the precedent for this now. All that. See, Nancy Pelosi is a spoiled little child. She's always been a spoiled little child. She comes from her father was a corrupt creep politician from Baltimore who stole lots of money, stole a couple $1 million, but it wasn't enough for Nancy. She never did any work in her life. She says she's an organizer, right? But since then, in that position, she's stolen close to $200 million. Now that you're introducing impeachment again, I say fine, impeach her, and then get back the money too. Impeach them all. Impeach him because here's the number one reason why they hated Trump so much. He stopped pay for play. That's why. He's the first guy who goes in there. I'm not in this for the money. Now, just like Adams, Jefferson, U.S. Grant, it used to be that you went into the office of politics, whether it was the presidency, whatever, with the idea that you're going to lose a lot because you're not going to be working for yourself. You're going to be working for government. Today, the reason, Trump's only offense, his number one offense, is that he said he was going to, and he did. While he was in, he ended the idea that government is a piggy bank for me to steal from. And that's what is real. And she's so avarice that she's so mad that she can't steal billions and billions of dollars, although she has now. She can't, she's still not. As powers too, brother, in the country. So I would say, bring it on. At the worst, the best thing that's going to happen. Now this brings up another problem. We're saying prayers that it's if we want Trump to be president in the next 4 years. But again, we're not the ultimate author. This is a lesson we all have to do. I tell my clients again and again, our job is to squeeze the lemon and make holy lemonade out of it. Okay? Holy lemonade. And that is, life is struggle. What would you want? Would you want a life where you went to the end of it and you had no struggles? How are you going to show to God that you did anything with your life? What are you going to offer up to God, right? And so our job is not to tell God what we want. I mean, it is to tell him what he wants, but to demand what we want. And then when it doesn't happen, we go off the sulk. No, Our job is to say, well, what's his purpose for this? Why is he doing this way? And it makes perfect sense. If
Mm.
if Donald Trump was supposed to lose this election, so that we know that we can't trust Pence, that Pence is gone, and then it's well worth it, because we can't afford another Reagan, where Reagan defeats communism, sets up freedom in the world, allows free markets to take over the world, and lift 2 billion people out of abject poverty, only to be screwed and undermined by the idiot Bushes and the establishment. We can't go through another one of them. So yes, I think it's very prescient that you're picking out the abolitionist movement, because as you pointed out, that was another revival movement. It's hard to tell whether the founding fathers were a revival movement itself, because they had the frontier and everything was a revival movement at that time, because you're faced with the destruction of the horror of the frontier. But there has been 3 great revival movements. This is probably the 4th great revival movements that have always made America more America. And that's what we're in the middle of now, I think, really, is a revival movement, just like in the beginning of the year.
And the rejection of it too, John. It's also the rejection of it too.
Of
the awakening, the revival movement. There's a rejection to it. This is what we're fighting.
Well, and this could be just the beginning of it, and part of the revival means we got to get back to your Bible. You got to get back to accepting. Listen, our job is to turn this to turn the lemon into lemonade, and there are
to our Bibles and guns, John. That's what we got to do.
Plenty of ways to do that. Right. So now so for an impeachment, it would set up a legal question afterwards. Is after he's out of office, does it count? Again, he can run because of the criteria of the Constitution. Would come up to the states, and they could try and block him all they want. But he could run with a vice president, say our Texas colonel.
Colonel West.
Colonel West. And then even if he's disqualified by the idiot Supreme Court, Colonel West would take over.
Mm-hmm.
And then when at one point, and I love Mark Stein, because he goes up there and he says, he's so mad, if he could do anything, he'd take back the 2 years he wasted on that idiot Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, when they had the Senate and the House and they did nothing. So this again is a blessing in disguise. That great line, which is what this we got to look at it as a blessing in disguise, because we are purging the rhino rats. We're not going to have Pence, who we never liked and we always had problems with, because we knew down deep he's part of the establishment.
Chris Christie too,
and Chris Christie and a bunch of them, and we'll talk about that.
We'll talk more about that during the editor's corner.
Right, editor's corner. But so it's a blessing in disguise, and we can't keep thinking that we're better off than God.
John,
let me leave you with this, with this brother. You and God are a majority.